Right. This is I'm just going to set this plane and explain what's going on. The final render for the chain casting geometry that I was talking about. So I think the important bit is this bit coming up where they kind of move apart and then move. Well, they move apart from each other in one dimension, then apart from each other in the other dimension. Um, it's the order in which it happens, and I've only just realised you could do it with one block at a time. So you could basically have all four blocks together, pour the metal inside, and move just one block away from the centre, and then up and out, and do that with all four blocks. Obviously, I still don't know whether this is possible, but geometrically, it definitely is. And that's what you end up with. I call it chain casting geometry. It's a way of pouring molten metal rings through some already existing rings so that you don't have to bend and fuse wire. Um, there's not much to say about it really. I just thought I'd let it run a couple of times. It's on a loop. Let it run on a loop for a bit so that you can see it whilst I'm explaining. So the bottom two quarters of the mould are brought into position and the rings are plopped on top, and then the top two parts of the mould are brought in, and the molten metals poured through in and around the already existing rings. So this is where the two rings are plopped in. The other two pieces of the mold are brought on top. Molten metal is poured in. It moves apart from each other in both dimensions, and then away diagonally to show the three rings there. It's kind of cool to remind myself about how the tools in Maya work from time to time, and this is a good way of doing it because I don't get a lot of time sat in front of the computer in Maya. So it, I had to obviously model the geometry using Boolean subtractions and operations. I think it's union difference and something else with the rings and the blocks, and then I created the shader by actually I went up and took a panorama at the trig point above AB, and the trig points are what I used back in the day to create the Ordnance Survey maps, and that's a reflective metal shader, or it's a blend that's supposed to be reflective metal. So that's put on an environment ball and reflected off the surface of the pieces of geometry. So that's modeling, shading, and then I had to animate each piece, including animating the camera, and then obviously render it out of Maya. And I brought it into QuickTime to turn it into a movie, a MOV file, and that's basically the whole process. Probably about 15-20 hours work plus a little bit of a walk to get the panorama for the reflections. Um, um, so I might try to explain it again. You see where the three spots appear on the top of the mold? That's after it's poured in. I couldn't animate a jug coming in or something like that, or whatever's used to fill those three spheres. Um, to fill those three ring spaces. But you've seen the second three spots appear on the top. That suggests that it's been filled. Then they move apart from each other, and then in one dimension apart from each other in the other, and then out. But like I say, afterwards I realised that let's say this block here, um, closest to us in a sec, could be moved out first by itself along here and then up, and you could take each block off one by one until the rings just fall out of the object. And another thing is, you can join the first with the last, so you could create any number. You could make these as long as you wanted, and these end pieces here have a ring on each end piece. Create a long chain and then bring in some more. Bring in an already created long chain, hook them through here, and then mold some more. So you can create a complete chain, a circular chain of links that's all perfectly formed without having to bend and fuse metal. So these little pegs on top are just where the metal's poured into the top of the mold. That's why they're there. And all this really stems from this video from a lot of years ago, which I never explained at the time. But what this does is it's the same concept, only you're only molding one at a time, and it would be very hard to access the space inside an already created link to pour metal, so this would never work, but the other one would. That's where the initial concept came from. Probably put this on the loop as well. View loop. I think the gold shader is working slightly better on that one than this one. But it's the same shader, so I don't know why it's like that. But that initial concept work was done many years ago, and then I rendered out the other one here. It kind of progressed onto this, which seems more feasible to do it in a factory if there was a plant that could make these, an assembly line of some description. I honestly think you could handmade jewelry like this, but I'm just not sure really. Perhaps one day I'll find out. I just thought I'd record a video to show the process. What I was thinking was the bit where I move each block away from each other. I should possibly do that a bit slower and slow the progress down so that you can see it. I'll probably do it with the time slider here and just scrub it for you. Right here, you can see it's moving away from each other in one dimension, and then when we get to about there, those middle rings inside are free, and it moves, and the four blocks move up and then out diagonally. So it's one dimension, another dimension, then out diagonally. That's what you get, the three rings, which kind of remind me of the Olympic rings. Seeing as it's Rio at the moment, Rio Olympics, Rio 2016. One last thing to mention was, I was thinking, do they actually make jewelry like this? And we're in Las Vegas in some 5-star hotels. We were staying in the Bellagio and staying in Caesar's Palace after we'd done a river tour. We took an airplane out and went down the went rafting down the Colorado in Page, Arizona, and while we were staying in Caesar's Palace, we did a bit of shopping in some very expensive shopping district over there, where they had a Tiffany and Co. Shop, and what I wanted to show you there is this is a Tiffany and Co. necklace. I'll just show you. Let's just pull it out. That's, you might have seen people wear these before. You can see this. If I just stop it from moving, it says Tiffany and Co. Probably quite hard to see, but what we're looking at here is these links seem to have no join. If I just rotate that slightly for you, you might be thinking, well, the joins are in the end. The joins are occluded by where the wire, where the ring, where they move inside each other. But if I rotate a single link, you can probably see that there seems to be no join whatsoever. If I just hold the piece like that and rotate to the top, there's no join in that side. Whoops. And no join in that side. And like I said, these Tiffany & Co. chains, seem to have no join in them whatsoever. And I think they could have been casted using that chain casting geometry that you see here. Just an interesting point of reference there. I think it could be doable. Let's see how long we are into the video now. We're 12 minutes in, probably a good time to call it a day now. So I think you've probably seen enough. 2 rings plopped in, the top put on the molten metal poured, moved apart, freed, and then you're left with some perfectly formed rings. Alright, I think we'll call it a day there. Bye.